Okay, so ran a couple of tests here, and we're going to try different microphones, different configurations, and I'll put it all together and you can listen and be the judge. And we'll go from there. Okay, phase 2 or part 1 or part C3A, whatever. Rewired the Silver Eagle, put the 8-wire mic on it. That's part 1. I have it all apart. So what I did was, I'm thinking the TS940 puts out 8 volts for the M60 microphone. So maybe I can harness that as well for the amplifier in the Golden Eagle. It says it takes 9 volts and 1.2 milliamp. I'm sure that there's a range. So if I can give it 8 volts, it probably would be happy, but not sure. And the Kenwood puts out 8 volts and up to 10 milliamp. So I don't think that should be an issue either. But just to be sure, I didn't want to do too many things at one time. So I did wire this, and I used one of the extra wires that's in here, and it's the yellow wire. And I wired it to pin 5, but before I try anything out, I want to unconnect from here, because otherwise I'll be shooting 8 volts into something I don't want to. So I'm just going to make the yellow wire dead for now, knowing it's in the harness and connected to pin 5 in case we can use it later. So what I'll do is just take care of that, remove that yellow wire that's right there, and then we'll put it back together, stick a battery in it, try with a battery. Once we know what it sounds like with the battery, then we can come back to phase 3.5A or whatever part we're in, and see how it sounds. So let me get this yellow disconnected, throw the battery back in, and we'll see how it sounds to compare to the other mic, the M60, the MC60 that we had upstairs. I think it's an A because I believe it's the amplified one, so I think that's what made that an A.
Okay, now I'm on AM 28.50020. Now just 28.5. Probably doesn't matter as much on AM. With the MC60 mic. Mod's set about halfway. The mic powers, or mic's about halfway. Power's about 25 watts. Nice needle swing up to about almost 50. Okay, how does it sound on AM? Hello, can you hear me? There's the turn all the way up. There it is about halfway. Again, everything on the D-104 set at half. Back at half, and see how it sounds. We're going to shoot for FM next.
Alrighty, so what I have here is the D-104, the Silver Eagle. I tore its little head off, and this just unscrews from the top over here. If you can see it, if it's in the shot, and it just sits in. You can see the 3-pin connector here, and the 4 screws take the back off, 4 screws take the front off, kind of like the old D-104. If I remember correctly, they were like barrel screws. So the front looked like a screw, but it was actually a nut, and the back was the screw, or vice versa, and you took that off and it was one long through. This looks like I just take those screws off and I should be able to get to the back. But anyhow, so what I did here is I wanted to see what happened if I changed the crystal microphone section cartridge out with a electret. Where is it? Right here. Is it? Yeah, it's in the shot. And this is from, you can see them on eBay. W2ENY He's out of New York. He sells them on eBay, and basically you get that, and he gives you a little resistor that you can use because they require voltage just to make the microphone work. But the thing about them is they are low impedance. So leave some questions about if I want to use the D-104 for a tube radio that requires a high impedance. Say if the crystal element has gone in it and I wanted to do that, then I'd have to match the impedance up as opposed to down. But anyhow, another story. So what you do apparently to put this in is, let me make sure it's in the shot still. It's supposed to have high fidelity, that element, and take away the tinny sound, they say, that the D-104s generally have. So that cover comes off. You can see there's some, I'm trying to make sure that we're still in the shot. Some that should have been foam. It looks like it maybe still is, but I don't know. It looks like it's coming apart on everything. Just over the years deteriorating. So you take this cartridge from what the instructions say. You take the this is the cartridge. I guess that's the front. Just foam. You take this out and you put this. You can remove those wires and you put this in like so. And then he tells you to put a piece of foam or something across to hold it in place. Kind of disappointed that he didn't include some foam, but I don't know if this is like the same electret fits multiple microphones. I don't know. But it's kind of, I think if you're going to sell something you want to perform or sound or look a certain way, you got to give everybody everything that's required, because if not, people will complain when it doesn't perform as desired, and then you find out that somebody, used a piece of cardboard or something behind it. Anyhow, so what I'll do is I'm going to take these wires off and replace it with that, and then there's some modifications that need to be done inside the microphone as well, because like I said, you don't need the amplifier section. These generally are high gain. The electret, yeah, the condenser mic, they're high gain, so you won't need the amplifier. And like I said, it'll be good for the low impedance radios, and it's supposed to make the sound better. So what I might do the same thing with this. Maybe, I don't know, at some point, it's just so I can get all the sound bites together between the different microphones. So I don't really think you need to watch me cut these wires and solder them to those ones, and then I'll find some type of foam in here, and we'll be back and see how that looks, and then we can put it back together and give it a test drive. Once we get it together, and I'm looking at the bottom, I'll show you some of the other specifications that are kind of required for these when you do this, because remember, now you're not going to have just battery voltage to the amplifier. You can use the radio voltage that it puts out. Usually most of the newer radios put out voltage for the microphone, and you can use that to power up the electret. But I think from what I read, the D-104, it has a tendency when you let off the microphone that it grounds that lead. And that was fine for the old days, but now you're putting 5 volts through it, so if you ground that lead, you're going to have either something welded together or maybe destroy the radio. So anyhow, I want to look into that too and see what the story is with that. So once I get this back in, we'll be ready, and we'll move on to the next part. Okay, so there's what it looks like soldered in. And then I had a piece of foam here, and I cut it like a circle. I can't see if you can see, and gouged it a little bit so that the piece will fit in here and the wires can run down through there. And it's a little bit tight, so it'll help it keep its place. So there it is there, just like so. So put it together and go from here on to the next step. Okay, after playing around and doing some more research, I found that I believe you can use this electret on this model with leaving the amplifier board in, and the only modification I made was, you can see the 10k ohm resistor right there, and that jumps basically from the red lead of the battery to the microphone. So that gives the electret that it's the voltage that it needs, plus the amplifier stays in. That's the only change that gets made to this board. You don't have to pull the wire out, you don't have to do anything else, I mean, other than in the head. But that's the only change down here. You leave the amplifier in, still need the battery. Now you'll notice up here, that resistor, and it's taped right now, because that's still pin 5 that has the 8 volts. And as I progress, I may try and see if I can use this to power it, as opposed to having that battery. But that's later down the road, so I just left it as is for now. So it's already in there and run, and it even has a little resistor on it that we can use. But what we'll do now is we'll power it up and see how it sounds for comparison purposes on AM. I think AM is probably the best test as opposed to sideband, but I am getting a pretty good swing out of it. I have the microphone, let me back out a little bit here. I have the wrong back out, the other back out. I have the microphone turned to about halfway up, and I had the mic gain on the 940 turned about halfway, and the performance seemed to be similar to the MC60 right here. So like I said, I'm going to go upstairs and listen to it on AM, and we'll record it and maybe do a comparison between this and this on AM side by side, and we'll see which one sounds better.
Hello, this is the Kenwood MC60, I believe it is, on AM. The amplifier is in, the mic gain is turned about halfway up, and I'm speaking with my mouth approximately, say 5-6 inches away from the microphone on AM with the Kenwood MC60. Okay, the microphone gain is turned up about a third the way. I'm speaking about 10-12 inches away from the microphone in a very quiet voice. This is on the D-104 with the upgraded electret condenser mic in the head. Right now the modulation on the amplifier, on the radio, is set, the mic is set at halfway. I'm going to turn it down a little bit, down to 2, because generally I get a little closer and speak a little louder. So this is a close, about 4 inches away now, speaking in a louder voice. So we'll see how that sounds.
Okay, to quietly sum things up, let's see, we tried different microphone with 2 different elements. We tried the original microphone. Mainly pay attention to the quality more than the sound quality, more than the loudness, because this was actually filmed over several different days, believe it or not. So the volume might have changed a little bit on the radio, so you can't go by, oh, it sounded louder or it didn't. Just pay attention to the quality. Also, it was a little bit hard to get the D-104's amplification dialed in correctly, because it seemed very easy to overmodulate that microphone. So it took me a couple times to get a nice setting on that where it didn't overmodulate it, and I think it sounded like an original voice. The instructions for the installing the electret condenser mic, I think the fellow that wrote them, he definitely knew what he wanted to do and was expecting, I think, but they left a little to be desired as far as the instructions go. I mean, nothing you couldn't figure out. There was a little bit of confusion over, did I need the amplifier or did I not need the amplifier, but the gain was terrible without the amplifier, so I kind of did some searching around, and it seemed that I could use that with that amplifier. I think that's about all we have for that, and let me know what you think. If you're happy with the way the condenser mic sounds. One of the things I want to look into also is if I wanted to put one of those mics in the D-104 for the Eagle. Those are very low impedance, so I'd have to put maybe an impedance transformer to match back to get back up, because the Eagle, it's probably, I bet you it's close to a mega ohm on the input. Very high impedance on that. I'll have to see if I can find that, look that up somewhere, or take a look at the schematic and see. Alright, but that's all I have, so thanks for watching. Hope somebody can use this, or it was beneficial to somebody. See ya.